Right, good afternoon from five. This is the second time I'm doing this video because the screen didn't share properly last time. So this video, we're going to look at analysing photos for paper two, but you'd also get something like this in paper one. It could be anything, okay? It could be like in your mock, you had a river valley and the river, and you're asked to describe what you're seeing, okay? So you're looking for key terms. They're not even really geographical key terms. Like, for example, it's flat, or it's V-shaped valley, or there's rocks, or meanders, or it's grass, or farmland, or buildings. Okay, so you could get it on any of the things. It could be rivers, it could be coasts, it could be urban settlement, it could be settlement hierarchies, industry, land use. Okay, but today I'm going to walk you through on this a paper two question, which is about urban settlement, but it could be settlement hierarchies or it could indeed be industry. What is important is you're never going to see these photos before the exam, is that you don't panic and realize that most of the information they're looking for is quite basic. Please don't leave these questions, okay? So here we go. We've got this, I put this together from a past paper. Figure 3, 3.1, 3.2 are inserts. Well, I put them in this document for you for easy, yeah? Figure 3.1 is in England, God save the Queen and all that, yeah? Which is an MEDC, a more economically developed country. You should be able to see what its population pyramid looks like, stage four of the demographic transition model. And figure 3.2 is in Indonesia. Indonesia is a less economic developed country. Okay, so you should know a bit about their population pyramid and their kind of situation. So we've got a short 1 point question which relates to figure 3.1, the picture from the UK. In which urban zone was the photograph in figure 3.1 taken? Circle one of the answers below. It's a multiple choice. Listen, we did this. We looked at the different zones in urbanisation very early on. Okay, so if you've been revising migration, which is one of your three themes, hopefully you've revised a bit about urbanisation and people, rural urban migration. But what we've got here is a picture. Look at the picture. What are you seeing? Okay. All right. Superficially, this is a supermarket, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's a Marks and Spencer's, which is a posh supermarket. I'm not sure. But we see lots of shopping trolleys. We see car parking facilities. We see other big buildings, trees, disabled parking. Okay. And there's another large building in the background. Okay. So what are we looking at here? What are we looking at? Um, it's asking us. Where would we find this in an urban area? Would we find it in the central business district or the inner suburbs? Or could we find it on the outer suburbs or on the rural urban fringe? Now, it doesn't matter if you don't know, you can work it out. The central business district is a very dense, very expensive area for core business. If you're in central London, the square mile around Liverpool Street, where all the top companies are, do you think they've got space or anyone can afford to put a supermarket of that size there with a huge car park? No, they can't. And who's going to drive in that area? It's congested. People aren't going to drive. They do have supermarkets, but they tend to be more like your expresses, your little ones next to stations. Okay, so this is not in the central business district. Neither is it in the inner suburbs. The inner suburbs are old. They've seen a lot of development. In any spaces they had left, there's more housing gone in. No one in the inner suburbs is going to take acres of land to put in a supermarket and a huge car park. Okay, again, it's also congested. So we're left with the other two options. It's on the outer suburbs, away where there's more space in commuter land. Or even further, it's right on the edge of the outer suburbs on the rural urban fringe, where the edge of the city meets the countryside. Okay. And having looked at the answer, if you said rural urban fringe or outer suburbs, they are both correct. Okay. They are both correct. Doesn't matter if you only answer one, they will accept either of those answers because there's no other way of knowing. It could be either. Okay. So that's 1 point. And you can deduct that for yourself. Now, to get onto the main points of the question, which is worth 7 points. That's a lot of points, okay? You need to describe the shopping centre areas in each figure. Describe the one in England, the one we just looked at. Describe it. 3 points. You don't need to be a geographer to describe that, do you? Anyone off the street could describe this photo. So let me give you some examples of what we're looking at. Okay. We can see a supermarket with trolleys. We can see other large buildings, a car park with disabled parking, by the way. It seems quite quiet. There's not many people about. There's a lot of space there. Okay. We can see all these things. Okay. And if we go to the answer, which I need to move myself and scroll down, you will see to get the points here, it's a shopping centre, or you could say a mall, supermarket, hypermarket. Okay. All of those would be acceptable for at least 1 point. Large buildings, there's another one in the background. We don't know what it is, but we can say there's a large building. We can see there's car parking. We can see there's disabled parking. So there's provisions here. Okay. We can see that there's few people and it's quiet, but that just might be the time of day. This might be taken before the shops are open. We can see trolleys, even the trees and plants. You've got a security camera. I didn't see that. It's modern. This is not an old thing. This is a new development. And there's lights, so I didn't even see those. But I only need to find three, maybe four. There's about 7 options there. If I'd have identified three of them from that picture, I would have gone and got nearly maximum marks. Okay. Okay, the lights must be these things at the back. They've got lights here. All right, glass front. Wow. Okay. But those descriptors fall in line with a modern urban development on the edge of a town or the edge of suburbs where there's space and people drive to these areas. Okay. A bit like Bagatelle, everyone drives to Bagatelle, a few people get the bus. It's different from, you could not have a development like this in centre of Rose Hill. There isn't the space, or the centre of Port Louis. There isn't the space. Even on the suburbs of Port Louis, as you move away, there's not enough space. We have to go outside where there was ex-sugarcane field, enough room to develop things like this. So this is to do with urban structure, but it could be to do with settlement hierarchy. You won't find this sort of development in a dispersed settlement or a small village. Those people, they might have a post office or a pub, but they might have to go to the nearest town or even the nearest city for this level of service provision. It's a Marks and Spencer supermarket. They're not everywhere. So that's in a town, a big town or a city that people from all around have to commute to. It's a higher level of service provision. Okay. Now let's do the same for Indonesia. It's the same question. We're asked to describe what we see in the picture. Okay, so now it's a very different scene. We've not seen this before, but can we describe what we're seeing? Well, as geographers, okay, we can, a bit of common sense here. We see a market. It's outdoors, isn't it? It's an outdoor market. It's night time. So it might be a night market. Okay, what are we seeing? We're seeing vegetables. We're probably seeing food. In fact, there's seating areas to eat food. I can see some clothes in the background. I can see some lights. It's quite narrow. It's not like that big open space we saw in the supermarket area in England. This could be an inner city. It doesn't ask us that, but usually you get these kind of night markets intermingled in the central business district. So workers and that can eat good food, cheap food. You don't find these things necessarily outside. They're clustered in like Port Louis is like that as well. You want to find a bit of street food. Centre Port Louis will give you this. It won't give you a huge supermarket. Okay. So I've mentioned many things. And if we look over here, the correct answers, many, you've only got to find three or four. Stalls market, open air, outdoors, canopies, tents, busy, lots of people, food or clothes, seating, benches, lights, traditional. Right, I don't know if it is traditional, but pedestrians, the people here are walking. Cars are not the main source. You don't see a car park. People are walking here. It's from a crowded area. It's narrow. There's small shops, narrow streets, okay? So really, guys, out of 8 marks, we should be able to get those, whatever the picture is. If it's an area of coastline, or if it's an aerial photo of an area of industry, what are we seeing? All right, we're seeing factories, we're seeing housing developments, we're seeing roads, railways, ports, seeing coal mines. Okay, what are we seeing? Just describe what you see. It could be as simple as rocks or flat or grass or fields, mounting, slopes. It's these key terms, okay? Now, as geographers, you should understand a bit why it's like that. You should understand why supermarkets like this are not found in the middle of the city. They're on the edge. And you should also probably understand a bit why night markets like this tend to be in the middle, the business hotspots, the tourist hotspots where tourists go, not stuck out, okay? So that's it. That's really easy. But apply that logic to any questions where you're asked to describe photos, which could be in paper. It will be in paper two, but you could also get something in paper one. It could be like, well, what's happening in this area? It could be retail, it's shopping, it's ladies with bags. We can see clothes shops. We can see banks. Okay. If there's a bank and clothes shops, we're probably higher up the settlement hierarchy because very small places don't have those. You have to go to somewhere slightly bigger because it feeds more people. Okay. But we've got to really think geographically about this. Okay. I will do another video looking at an environmental kind of maybe some coasts. Yeah. But this, I think, is important. Okay. So we'll stop that one now and we'll talk soon.